All right, fantastic. Well, welcome everyone to another fantastic career quest session. I'm really looking forward to this one today. My name is Ezra. I work on our career and professional development team. And before I hand it over to Nancy, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Cintas and their management trainee program, I just want to go over just a few housekeeping items. If you guys can just make sure you stay on mute throughout the presentation, that just helps us with noise reduction and making sure we can hear our speaker. We will have time for Q&A at the end. You are welcome to add your questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring that, or at the end, if you wanted to use that raise hand functionality and ask questions and come off mute, we can do that as well. And then at the end, when we get to Q&A time, I'll pop a little quick survey link in the chat. That is for our team. If you have any other suggestions or speakers or topics you want to hear from, please take a moment to take that quick 2-minute or fill in that, it's like 2 questions, but that little survey. All right, and with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy and I'll have you take it away for us.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to join you guys today to share a little bit more now about the Cintas Corporation and the job opportunities we have. If you are looking for a career opportunity right now, you're thinking about internships, hopefully you will find a great opportunity with us. So I'm going to jump in. Here on the screen, you can see we did headshots for some of our MTs and interns in Southern California. This is literally just a very small piece of the pie as we hire over 400 management trainees for our program every year, or for the company. So let's jump in. Let me go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. And then for today, I mentioned we're going over Cintas, going over the career opportunities. As mentioned before, my name is Nancy. I'm a campus talent acquisition manager with Cintas. I've been with the company. Today is actually my 9-year anniversary, and I was realizing it this morning. I'm like, wow, 9 years. So 9 years with Cintas. First 5 years, I was an HR manager for one of the facilities in California. So as an HR manager, had an opportunity to do a lot of great things, but then I wanted, hey, it was time for a change, so I jumped into this role as a campus recruiter. So my job, my focus is to find talent for our MT and intern program in the southwest part of the U.S. So that includes Southern California, it includes all of Arizona, all of Colorado, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Vegas. If you are somebody who, hey, I'm interested in something more in the East Coast, no worries. We have plenty of opportunities, and I'm somebody who can connect you, send your resume over to those recruiting leaders. But let me jump into the first slide that talks to you about Cintas. And I'm not sure if anybody in the crowd is familiar with our company, but let me tell you a couple quick facts about our company. So we are a Fortune 500 company. We are in the service industry, and we also like to say we are in the people industry, because a lot of what we do is making sure we're taking care of people. So as a company, we partner with other businesses to make sure we can get them ready for the workday. What does that mean? Well, we can provide products like uniform for rental. It could be floor mats, restroom supplies, cleaning chemicals. It can be first aid kits, AD devices, fire extinguishers, just so many different products that we help provide customers or businesses every day so they can open up their doors and their facilities can be clean and safe. And also their partners, their employees can all look really well in those uniforms. So in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see a lot of the different recognitions that we've received, whether it's for being like top companies to work for, best employers for diversity, best employers for also helping veterans. It could also be for new grads. So just so many different recognitions that we received over the last years. And I like to showcase that because we're proud of what we've done. A company that's been long-standing. We do have over 479 facilities across the U.S. and Canada. We have over 46,000 employees that we call partners, and then over 1 million customers. The data on here says FY24 for our revenue. We now completed the FY25, and we ended at 10.3 billion. We're super excited about that, and in the next 10 years, we want to double that amount, the revenue that we've received. So that's a quick quick facts about the company. Let's jump into it to tell you a little bit more about Cintas. Here's the map. Here you can see where we have facilities, and that's from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. We are more heavily seen on the East Coast because we are headquartered in Mason, Ohio. That's near Cincinnati. But we have plenty of opportunities also in the West Coast. So if any of you are looking for job opportunities, feel free to share in the chat if you're like, hey, this is a city that I'm looking for, and I can, make sure to let you know if we have a position there or connect you. But just curious to know where folks are looking for job opportunities today. So even if Cintas might not interest you, and I'm curious to know what cities are you guys looking for jobs today. Add that in the chat. Continuing on with the different facilities that we have, you will see that we have facilities that are for our rental division, which is our biggest division. And then there's first aid and safety, and our smallest division would be fire. Continuing from that slide, let's talk a little bit about just how Cintas got started. So interesting enough, we got started back in 1929. The name wasn't Cintas, but that's where we originally started. Original founding members, it was during tough times in America, Great Depression. They were working at a circus, and they were trying to figure out, how do we make ends meet? What's our next side hustle? And they realized that in Ohio, near a particular river, there was a lot of businesses that the rags that they were using to clean their facilities, they were just throwing them out or burning them. And they realized, hey, what if I started collecting them, washing them ourselves, and then bringing them back to these businesses? Could we make some money there? And that's literally how it started. And it continued from there when they were able to finally get a facility, have employees, have good revenue amount coming in, and they just started growing. But then they realized, hey, we want to, as we're continuing to grow, they wanted to change that name, and that's where Cintas came in, somewhere around 1973. We get asked a lot, why Cintas? What does it mean? The folks that created the name say, hey, they just wrote it down in a napkin. It really didn't mean anything. But some people think Cintas is because Cincinnati or different other reasons. But we've had different taglines in the past. We've had the service professionals. We've had a couple other ones. Ready for the Workday is one that you might be familiar with. But that's just a little bit about our history, kind of how we got started. But the company quickly grew and began to innovate and enter different areas. It no longer was just rags. And then it was like, let's focusing on garments, on clothing, and creating and making sure to include technology that would help us. So there are 5 million people across the U.S. that wake up every day to put on a Cintas uniform. And when those uniforms get back to our facilities, we know exactly where that garment is because of the barcodes. Everything is scanned, so we know where those garments are at. And as we've continued to grow Cintas, there was a lot of important partnerships, and we have exclusive rights to certain products like Carhartt to be able to provide that to our customers. But there's just been so much that we've done, or so many other products and services we've been including. But let me jump on to the next slide to continue showing how we at Cintas have continued to grow. We definitely did start more with the rental focus, but back in the early 2000s is when we finally entered the fire protection industry. And that division of our company has definitely been growing. And so typically around the country in some of those big cities, we will have multiple facilities. Like, for example, if you are in Salt Lake City or in Denver, you're going to find that there is a rental facility, a first aid and safety facility, and possibly a fire facility. So there are opportunities to work with Cintas and also maybe focus on a division that's maybe more closer to your heart. And we also started adding more training and compliance to our first aid and safety division. There's just a lot of different things that have been happening over the years to really improve the quality of our products, add more to the selection of the products, create more partnerships with different vendors. And going on now to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about sustainability and what Cintas is doing to support the people, our planet, the communities we serve. And as I'm continuing to talk and share more information, if there are any questions, feel free to drop those questions in the chat, If I catch a question as I'm speaking, I might stop there, but certainly at the end, I would love to answer any questions you have. But since we've been doing a lot in this area of sustainability, so let's start off first with kind of what's our history in this area. I would say, hey, that's how we got started, and being able to recycle some of those materials, utilize them again. So that's important. And I think that's when companies say, hey, we're committed to sustainability, to helping our environment. That's what we did back in 1929, and we continue to do that. Jumping into that next slide, I think this slide really shows a little bit more how we're helping protect the environment. So a few years ago, we started to release a lot of the electric vehicles across the nation. Our vehicles are what carries all the products. These are all the uniforms, the floor mats, so many things. These are very heavy vehicles that being able to switch from like a normal to gas to electricity is kind of hard, because our electric vehicles, they have to be charged for a certain amount of time, and they can only, really, the vehicles can only weigh a certain amount, can only travel a certain distance. And remember, we're traveling across the nation, across our regions to deliver those products. But we have been getting more electric vehicles across the nation, and we also now have implemented Smart Truck. It's a technology that we use in a rental division to really reduce routes that can really, if say there's a company or a business that we service and hey, they needed an extra product, we can quickly see what vehicles are in the region and may have that product already in their vehicle to deliver. So we're utilizing technology to really help us, but also at the same time, the different things that we're doing are helping protect the environment by reducing emissions, the amount of time our vehicles are on the road. And I was mentioning about the emissions intensity, and we've reduced that by 40% since fiscal year 19. We're also utilizing more solar power around our facilities. We're diverting 94.5% of our waste from landfills at 8 of our distribution centers. So that's also very important. And I remember when I started at Cintas and I was learning about just different things Cintas does to also support our community, or how some of the things, like we're making sure the water that we're using, we're giving it back to our community even cleaner than we received it, and that's important. And then also, we have also another different division that, in case you're more interested in maybe clothing design or more, we have a design collective where we design garments and different products for a very niche market. Maybe it's hotels, maybe it's cruise lines, and a lot of the materials for this products are recycled materials. So love to share that, and we have over 200 of those products. So let's jump into, and actually talked about Design Collective. I'll mention a little bit more here about our Design Collective. And I had a chance to go to Chicago to see one of these facilities. So if you're interested in more of this, there's opportunities in Chicago, Miami, I think Vegas, a couple different locations that are more focused for this division, but was able to really learn about the different technology we're using to create these products, and also the job opportunities. So really neat things going on in our Design Collective, but the 3 major departments we do recruit for is rental, first aid and safety, and fire. If you are somebody who is looking for a opportunity, like say, hey, I'm needing a very specific marketing internship, a finance internship, maybe something on IT, all those opportunities are typically available at our headquarters in Mason, Ohio. So if you are interested in that, those opportunities are available, but those would be in our headquarters. So continuing on a little bit about our culture, things that we have for our partners. We do have employee resource groups. If you're a current college student on campus, you have different student clubs and orgs. Well, we have our employee resource groups that we call partner business resource groups. And so we have a total of 7 groups that you can join. You can join and participate virtually, or hey, maybe your location has more members and you do things there at your facility. But this is an opportunity to connect with other individuals that are maybe like-minded, share different or same experiences, maybe their same culture. But we have groups for our LGBTQ community and allies, our Asian Pacific Islander partners, our Black and African Americans, Hispanic and Latin partners. Myself, I'm involved in Souls and part of their leadership team. Love being able to connect and network with others, host different events, host professional development trainings. But we also have for military affiliated partners, partners, and also any partners that either themselves have family that have special abilities. So a little bit about our partner resource groups. Jumping into now, let's talk about how we also impact our communities with giving back. So we've been able to provide over 29 million pounds of product donated since 1998 through our partnership with Matthew 25. So whether it is clothes for children when school is going to go back in session, when there's been a natural disaster across the nation and we need to send over clothing. That's something we enjoy doing. We also have a Cintas Partner Assistance Fund where the company executives and any frontline partner can donate money. So as there are natural disasters, whether it's the fires in California, earthquakes or tornadoes across the nation, our partners have support. They are able to, whether it is get vouchers for hotels, get food, get clothing, anything that can help them get back on their feet as they have to restart post these different tragedies. We also have different partnerships with nonprofits across the United States. Every location may be a little different, but there are some that is just across the nation we do. The National Fallen Firefighter Foundation 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb is something that we do across the nation. We try to recruit money and support different groups that were affected by 9/11. But we do partner with so many organizations. Locally for myself, I've been a part of events with Links for Life to support victims of breast cancer. We've adopted families for the holidays. We have helped at the local YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, different activities. Every location, that is very important. Every location on a quarterly basis needs to be involved in different nonprofits that maybe are close to the hearts of the partners in those facilities. So love that we get to do that. And there is a QR code if you want to see our full impact report. Continuing on with more about Cintas. So we talked about the different divisions. You heard me talk about the rental division, fire protection, first aid and safety. Facility services is also included with rental. It's a lot of the cleaning products, restroom supplies that we provide. I talked a little bit about Design Collective, but we also have a global supply chain. Those positions are typically, we have some in Phoenix, some in Dallas, Texas, a couple other places around the nation, but we do have global supply chain if any of you are interested in more of that area. But let me jump in and share a little bit more about what are those products. We've talked about in the rental division, I talked about uniforms. Those can also be maybe Chef Works rental culinary apparel. They can be performance polos and button downs. It could be apparel tailored just for women, flame resistant clothing, especially for us, like in Southern California, a lot of the oil fields, like we provide all that product. And then facility services, I mentioned a little bit of the types of products like restroom supplies, but let's be more specific. Hand sanitizers and stands, mat service, mop service, towels and aprons, microfiber cloths, first aid and safety. As it sounds, you probably think of first aid kits, but it also includes PPE, AED devices, safety training, emergency eye wash service, or water break. Fire protection, yes, it's our fire extinguishers, but it also includes exit and emergency lighting, fire alarms, fire sprinklers. So these are just a lot of the products and services that we have. And as you're hearing this and you're thinking, okay, I'm listening to these products, some of you may be like, these products don't sound that exciting, Nancy, but think about it. All these products are needed in every single business. And that's how Cintas has been able to grow. Even during the pandemic, which was a super tough time for all of us as individuals, all companies, Cintas actually grew because a lot of the products that people needed, the hand sanitizer, the cleaning solutions, those are products we were already carrying. And so that just shows you as a company, this is a company here that is continuing to grow and will continue to grow because we offer products and supplies that are essential for companies. So as students, recent graduates or professionals, you want to look for a company that's going to be here for the future and offer stability. We talked about rental. You already heard me talk about some of the products, and I mentioned, hey, 5 million people wake up every day to wear our clothing. I'm going to jump some of these slides just to make sure I have enough time for questions, and then also to talk about the job opportunities that we have. So we also do some direct sales. There are some companies that don't want necessarily us to be picking up their clothing and washing them every day, but they do want our products. So we work with a lot of major companies to provide their uniforms, whether if you're flying, you may have seen Southwest or United folks wearing our clothing. When you visit different hotels, Marriott, Hilton, and you walk in, their masks are usually provided by us. Their uniforms are provided by us. So a lot of different big brands that we work with. Let's see, continuing on, let's jump into a little bit more, maybe learn about our first aid and safety division. I would say this is a division since sometimes folks who have been experienced in the medical field or have a passion for that, or maybe their parents are somehow in the medical field, they like this division because it is a division that at the end of the day is saving lives with the different products and services that we carry. But we have more than 500,000 first aid cabinets in circulation. If you enter a building, a business, you will typically find a first aid kit somewhere in their building, and a lot of those are provided by us. A lot of compliance training. We have AED devices that have saved over 450 lives. We get those stories back to us told of like, hey, having this device saved this employee at our facility. And we're just thankful that, hey, we can have provide these products. And then over 6 million safety products and PPE equipment has also been provided to different businesses. So a lot of great products and services here. And then we talked about our fire division, so we don't have to jump too much into it, but this is a big division that we're now, we're still recruiting for across the nation. And if you're somebody who, hey, maybe has a passion more towards the fire division, a company or division that keeps growing, because these are all products that our businesses need. Now let's jump into, so that was a very quick overview of Cintas, what we do, and a little breakdown in our different divisions. But now let's talk about the job opportunities. If you are somebody today who's looking for a job opportunity, and when I go back and I see, okay, a couple of you list the different areas, and great, because a lot of those I see, hey, we recruit for. I'm specifically recruiting for like Arizona, but I know Atlanta, Georgia, the recruiter, I just spoke to her right before I got on this call. In Washington, that is one of my mentors, is the one that recruits for there, so I could definitely get you connected for these positions. So let's jump in and let's talk about the job opportunities. So the management trainee program and the internship. So as both programs are very similar. It's just a little different, obviously, how much you're paying, how many hours you're working, and what grade level you are in college, or if you've already graduated. But both of these programs offer a rotational opportunity. You get to work in different departments. What we ultimately want, the ultimate goal of our management training program is for these partners to become general managers, director level at our company. If you're an intern, our goal is for you to become an MT. And obviously as an MT, our goal is for you to go down that track and become a GM or a director level. And so we need you to not only learn our business, but also work on really growing your leadership skills. And so that's why it's so important that you spend time in multiple divisions. So let's break it down how that happens. So you heard me say multiple times, we have 3 divisions that we're really recruiting for. They're all going to give you an experience in operations, in service, and sales. So let's break it down. For example, if it's rental division, our biggest division, it's a 15-month, our MT program is a 15-month program. The first month or the first couple of weeks, it's really you're in orientation. You're coming in, we're making sure your cubicle or office is set up, that you get all the training you're going to need to take. So that orientation is usually, I would say, 2 weeks to a month, and then you're going to jump into your rotation. So usually it could start off in maybe production, or it could be service, but both of these in the middle are part of our operations. And so let's say you start in service. So that's the department that you're going into, that you're going to have customer facing opportunities. You're going to see how we deliver our products, how we grow, the amount of products that maybe companies are purchasing from us on a weekly or monthly basis. We do not intend for you to be somebody who is being hired to deliver products and do this every day. This is part of your training. This is where you'll get to see, if we want you to be a general manager, director level, so let's just say with a GM, to oversee your own facility, a multi-million-dollar facility. It's very important you learn each job so you know what it takes to hire. You understand the difficulties in that area. So You'll put on a uniform. You'll work in that department. Every day you're not going to be outside of the building. There's going to be a lot of time that you spend in-house, working with the supervisors, the managers, learning the different tasks that go on in our service department. But at the same time, we're going to make sure you're improving your customer service skills, your communication skills, even your negotiation skills. So you'll get to do all that in your service department. After the service department, then you're going to jump into what we call our production or warehouse. Fire and first aid, they have a warehouse. In rental, it's called a production plant, and there usually is the huge washers and dryers for all the garments that are coming in, the floor mats. In this department, specifically here, you'll see one of my colleagues. Her name is Anastasia. She is a management trainee in northern San Diego. She's in our stock room. In our production floor, you have different groups or different, also different departments. You'll have our stock room, which is a big area where a lot of our inventory is held. You'll learn a lot of things related to that. Cost management, how we get our products to our customers. So we also have a wash alley where all the product comes through. We have areas where partners are folding all the garments, are hanging the shirts, things like that. So you'll have an opportunity to rotate between different stations to learn, and to also learn how do we coach, how do we train our partners if there's partners issues going on. We get you involved so you learn. How is it that you really build up your partners? How do you lead partners? And then you'll spend another 5.5, maybe 6 months in that department, and then you're going to jump into sales. The last 3 months you're spending in sales. You are being placed in a 12-week training program to learn everything about our sales. We understand sales is not easy. If you haven't had sales experience before, we want to make sure that you understand the basics. So you'll spend time in sales in that department. You will be wearing business suits every day, going out to see potential customers, doing your training, going on phone blogs. So throughout these 15 months, you're going to be doing a lot of different things, but ultimately that's going to help you gain business knowledge, knowledge of our company, and really developing your leadership skills. So that's a quick overview of our MT program. And then let me jump into what are some of those benefits. Okay, Nancy, I love what I'm hearing. I want a position. But what else do I get aside from that experience you talked about? Let's talk about the professional development side. First, there's a mentorship aspect. Every single one of our MTs, those 400 plus that you heard, everybody is assigned a mentor. And the mentor has to be at a leadership level. It has to be typically a general manager, director, or higher level, somebody who has been proven that they can be a mentor. So if we've had any negative experience with mentors, they're out. Project-based experiences, you're going to get real projects. So this is not just you, hey, Sally, go to the station, just be picking out shirts. No. There's actual projects. It could be a project of like, hey, Sally, we've realized that maybe we're not ready for those orders, and we typically are low in this amount of product. How do we make sure it can be like, how do we what do we do with all this product that is no longer needed? There's just different projects. Every single MT has multiple projects they're going to be working on. But the goal is for you to really take that task on, talk to people, get data, and share some feedback to us. How do we improve this process? Then we also have professional development seminars. That is a recent picture. We were at the JW Marriott in Los Angeles for our Management Trainee Summit. This is where we bring together all of our MTs that are from a specific region. In this case, it was the rental division, the Western Group, and it was a 2-day. We stayed at a very beautiful hotel, brought in top leaders to spend time. Let's talk about how do we improve our negotiation skills? How do we improve our leadership skills? There's fun activities. There is a lot of networking, a lot of opportunities to also connect with other MTs, and I think that's what really makes this experience so much more enjoyable. There's a lot of exposure to executive leadership. Here in the picture I have our group vice president for Southern California shaking hands with one of our interns. Like, this is something that you're going to have access to these leaders. Last week I was in the San Diego area because one of our executive vice presidents was in town touring our facilities. Our MTs and interns were front and center. They were getting an opportunity to talk to executive leaders. We realized how much money we invest into this program, into these future leaders, so they get that visibility and opportunities. We also have a lot of trainings. As an MT, our goal as you may recall, it's going to be for you to be a leader within our company. So we need to make sure you're learning, how do we recruit other folks in the future? How do we ensure that we have a good culture at our facilities? So there's about at least 5 big trainings that you have to either attend, travel to get that training, and then there's so many others that you're going to be taking that are virtual, but it's very important. We need to make sure you're learning all the important things for you to be a successful leader. And then we do have an MT core course, the picture on the bottom. We have this every other month at corporate. We have MTs from across the nation that are going, usually typically at the last 6 months in their program. They're traveling to our headquarters. We pay for flights, hotels. It's usually a 3-day event. You're meeting top executives, you're networking, you're having fun. But that's a really great component of our MT program. Those PBRGs I talked about, you'll have access to. We also have monthly leadership calls. We want to make sure we stay connected to you, so you'll have monthly leadership calls. We have a book club. We also have an MT executive series. So a lot of great things happening, or training that's available to you. And we also have dedicated business and financial training. So the expectation is that each MT will sit down with their general manager on a monthly basis and look at the financials and interpret those numbers and be familiar and comfortable and being able to review that and share that with somebody else. And then all of our MTs now get a business suit from our design collective. So before you start, you'll get access to our catalog, pick out the business suit and color that you want. We're looking for leaders, and we want to make sure not only are you talking like a leader, thinking like a leader, but that you look like a leader. So those are some of the professional development benefits. Let's jump into now. Give me more benefits, Nancy. What's the financial, work-life balance, wellness, general perks that you can get? So on the financial, this is an annual compensation. There is a $2,000 sign-on bonus. There is a 401k with a company match. And we do have a profit sharing program. So at the end of our fiscal year, the company decides how much money will go back into our partners. That's always in the millions, multiple millions, and it gets shared back with our partners to their 401k, and it's usually based on how much money they're making and how many years they've been with the company. And then obviously we have life insurance, all those benefits you typically get with a Fortune 500 company, we're going to provide them. The medical, the dental, the vision, employee assistance program if you need counseling or things like that. On the work-life balance, which I know is a question that I get a lot still, here's the important things that we provide. One, it's a Monday through Friday schedule, which really supports you in being able to not only have your weekends off, but have time with for yourself and your family. We have 7 paid holidays, including your birthday. Your birthday, you get a 45-day window to take your birthday off. We have 80 hours of PTO just on the first year. After that, it's like 3 weeks, 4, and it continues to grow. But on that first year, you can expect 80 hours. And we have short-term disability, long-term disability. And then there are also a lot of perks to you as a Cintas partner because we have so many folks hired across the nation. You'll get discounts, and whether it's like booking a hotel, renting a car, or anything from our catalog, you are getting a discount on, which is really nice. And there you can see the different brands that we carry. Quickly looking at the time to make sure I'm moving through this quick enough to make sure we have time for questions. Let me jump into what are some of those benefits for our intern program. Intern program, we do offer summer. So we're looking right now for summer of 2026 folks. And then if you are interested in something more during the year round, we do have those opportunities like a fall internship part-time. Those are available. Same thing, rotational experience. You're going to be working in our operations service and sales department. If it's part-time, obviously those hours will be less. It's still a Monday through Friday position. As an intern, some folks only come a couple days. You will also be mentored. If you're typically also getting mentored from some of our current management trainees, some of those more tenured. We do have an intern summit during the summer that interns can participate. There's extensive training, basically any training that you see for the MTs. We always welcome our interns to take part in that. And then we do have positions available nationwide. I myself am looking for interns for the different cities or states that I mentioned, but we need them across the nation. And they're all paid internships. So typically the pay is going to be based on the geo zone, so the city you're in, and what grade level you are. And we are typically offering internships to juniors and seniors. for anybody who's interested in your freshman, your sophomore, that's something that we'd have to look at. We typically focus more juniors and seniors. If you're somebody who's already graduated, the opportunity for you would be the management trainee program. And so if you're a junior, we typically are giving you this opportunity during the summer. We're going to be jumping into your senior year, final year in school. But let me jump into that next slide. We only have a couple more slides, and then I'm going to be looking at the chat to answer all of your questions. So we talked about what is that final goal for the management trainee. That is a general director level. If you come into as an intern, the next goal is an MT. So what happens after those 15 months you participate as an MT? Post that, you're typically going into a sales role for at least a year or two. It could be 3 years. It really depends in any of these areas. One, how you're performing, what opportunities are available, and if you're relocatable. If you want to stay to one specific state, one specific area, obviously it'll take a little bit longer. But if you're more flexible, if you're performing well, if we see, hey, this is the position that makes sense for you, that's how you move quicker. In a sales role, why is that even important? We put you down the roles so you really learn so much more about our business. Folks that go into sales, they become definitely tougher leaders. And when I say tougher, I mean they're used to getting no's, getting doors, shut in their face. They really learn, okay, how do I really step it up and learn how to communicate with potential customers? How do I hear their reasons not to get our service, and how do I make sure to okay, no, this is how we can actually help you out. So it's a very critical role that our partners take. But after that, we want you to come back into the operations side and take on roles where you have folks reporting up to you. If sales is your thing, maybe you want to move up to a sales manager. But we'll continue to move you through, and the goal is general manager, director level. Now, very important, you have to stop there. Our current CEO, Todd Schneider, he started as a management trainee, and he's now our CEO. So we have had MTs at alumni at every level at the company. So it doesn't have to stop there. Let's jump into, I do have a quick video of a day in the life, but I want to go to questions first and see if we have time for that, just because it's a little bit easier to hey, ask me the questions and then go from there. So we're going to open up to questions about Cintas, the MT, the intern program. Here you're going to see a QR code. So for anybody that is joining us today, if you are hey, Nancy, I think I'm interested, I want to learn a little bit more, scan this QR code, put your information. It's only 4 pieces of information: name, email, the college you attend. I will then be post this session, sending you an email saying, hey, send me your resume and what city you're interested, and that way I can start sending those resumes to those locations. I'll review them. If it's for anywhere in my region, I'll take a look at it, see if, hey, you're a good fit for this position, and we can go from there. So I'll open it up now for questions, but I wanted to make sure you knew there is a way for us to connect, and it's scanning that QR code. So let me come back over here. Let me look at the questions. And then you guys let me, and if you want to, hey, come off of being muted and ask the question, go ahead. We can do that too. So I'm going to just jump back and see, is there a question?
Fantastic. Thank you, Nancy. I will say, I think I see a question from Taylor. And I can read those if it's easier. Is the management trainee position for graduates only, or could it include current students? So I'm planning on graduating by this time next year with my bachelor's in finance.
Yes, so when it comes to the management trainee, we love to already interview folks that are going to be graduated either at the end of this fall or in the spring. So if you're somebody who's graduating spring of 2026, we interview you now, because once those slots are full for that city, they're full. So it's never too early. So for example, Taylor, you are going to be graduating, you said, at this time next year. Still be graduating, say, fall, December of 2026. Maybe an internship might interest you to do during the summer. I don't think it's too early. One thing that you could do is connect with the leaders, the HR manager, the general manager for that facility. Connect with them via LinkedIn so you stay visible to them. So when it is time, and I would say if you're graduating around December of 2026, the best time to start applying would probably be maybe January. January would be kind of the best time there. Hopefully that answered your question. Do you want to share the next one?
Let's see. I know Kristen asked a little bit about career paths, which I think you covered. And then the other part of her question is, are there also job opportunities for people who are career changers?
Yeah, so We have had MTs that start, or folks that start in the MT program and decide, hey, I want to be an HR manager or an HR director. We have folks that started in the MT program and then jumped into our marketing department at corporate. So there are those opportunities within Cintas. People refer to, like, internally, it's like a jungle gym where folks can, if you want to grow into a different division or a different role, though, there's so many of those opportunities.
Fantastic. And let's see here. There's a question about the grade levels. Again, I think you were talking about them with the internships and pay. If you can just clarify what you mean by grade level.
So yeah, grade level is just referring to like a junior status, a senior status. If you are going to be getting your 4th-year degree as a senior, that's what we need for our MT program. And for interns, like I said, it's a junior or senior level if you want while you're a senior to do those internships.
And just so you guys know, those are determined by credits usually. So if you do have questions on what like grade level you fall in, because we do things a little bit differently at WGU, you can usually reach out either to your mentor or the registrar folks, and they can kind of help you figure that out if you're unsure. Let's see here. Do you take into account work experience as well as educational level? And I'm assuming this is for applications, yeah.
So yeah, when we look at an MT application, I'll tell you a little bit of what I'm looking for. One, I'm looking for somebody who is going to be graduating recently or recently graduated. If there are folks on the call that, hey, I've graduated several years ago, is this still for me? Our management trainee program tends to hire folks that are graduated within the last 2 or 3 years. We do have a different program for folks that are more senior, like more experienced. You've had more leadership experience already. There is a different management trainee program that we hire those folks. But I'm looking at work experience. Do you have any leadership experience? Do you have maybe you're involved in student orgs, maybe you're a student athlete, maybe it's you've been in a lead role, you have a strong GPA, you have also a good track record of positions. So you're not constantly like working here, you leave, working there. Like, it's very consistent. That's something that's important that we look at.
Perfect. Yeah, so there's another one here. You've been with Cintas for 9 years and now in campus talent acquisition. What have you observed in MTs who go on to become general managers or senior leaders? Specifically, what early decisions, initiatives, or habits have set them apart?
Yes, these folks, I think, they all share common things. They're individuals that are coming in and they're connecting with leaders right away. So they're very big on networking, on creating a strong brand for themselves. So if there is an important meeting, they're up front, they're asking questions, they're staying after to make sure to connect. They have good time management skills, and they also have very good communication skills and people skills. So there's somebody that you can see that folks love to go to, ask questions, look up to. So those are the things that come up with some of those individuals that made it. Like, they also, when there's a project, they're raising their hand, they're getting involved, they're not making excuses.
Love that. And then on the flip side, kind of looking at this path to general manager or director, what are some of the biggest challenges or barriers that trainees can anticipate or after completing their program?
So after completing the program, I would say jumping into the sales role post a program sometimes can be a little hard for folks that, hey, sales is just not your thing. But we do have a really good training program where there's different activity that you'll be evaluated on, and it's like stay to the playbook, doing that. And for those folks that are like, I quickly want to move to my next position, it's being able to maybe really be successful in what you are and making sure the key folks that know what's that next role you want are aware to that. I would say also sometimes if you're not very flexible in kind of the next place, if you're very like, I want to be just in this particular city, those opportunities may be a little bit more limited. So making sure you're open to whether it's relocation or other opportunities. But I would say the challenges that I see post the program with some MTs, it's like, hey, sales, or they want to like, okay, I'm done with sales, let's go, what's the next thing, I'm waiting. But I would say for those that are like doing a good job, they're staying connected with their leaders. They're finding great opportunities. They definitely are. But I was recently with a bunch of MTs have graduated, and one thing that they miss is when they're in the program, it's kind of like college. You're involved in so many things. You have this huge network. So once you move out of that, hey, it's like the real world. We got to like make sure we are meeting the expectations of the job, and you miss having that like this training, this summit, this thing going on, this book club. But every department, even sales, has mentorships, different mentors, different other things that they do to develop their staff. Do we have any other questions?
Let's see. There is one more here. Just came in. Okay, since the MT program is designed to build future leaders, how would you describe the leadership style that Cintas values most in its GMs or directors?
Yeah, well, I would say I've seen different styles of management. So I wouldn't say there's literally only one that works, but the leaders that I would say that are most successful are those leaders that really work really closely with their teams. They're not just there to like, I need you to do this and that. Like they're in it with them. They are working together with them. They are individuals that, maintain that open door policy of like, if there are issues, come see me. There are leaders are very much have to be focused also on the development, having those one-on-ones, development sessions. There's things about our culture too that all leaders have to apply those values. The focus of safety, having safety meetings, safety check-ins, ensuring, all that stuff is so important. And then also creating that culture with having partner engagement events, having community service interaction. Like there's different things that are built into the culture of Cintas that regardless what leader, what city, that you're going to see. But the leadership style, I would say it can be different group to group, person to person, but there are some values from Cintas that have to be part of your leadership style regardless.
Fantastic.
Thank
Okay.
you for all those questions.
Yeah, those were fantastic.
Love it.
I think we've got them all, and I did put our survey link in the chat too for folks, but
Awesome.
I would say keep going.
And I was about to just check to see if I accidentally brought down my presentation. Sorry, or brought down the meeting. I was going to double check to see if we've had any folks that did scan the QR code. If you guys need it again, let me know, but I want to make sure you guys have access to that, and that way I can connect with you post the session. So does anybody still need it? And right now I'm just like logging in to make sure. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I can send it out too via follow-up email. So yeah.
Awesome. Checking to see if there's any more questions that I may answer.
Looks like one more came in. So speaking of leadership, I received a nomination for the National Society of Leadership and Success and see mixed reviews on it. Would that help with a leadership role at Cintas? So it's like National Honor Society is.
Okay. So National Society of Leadership and Success. I would say when it comes to student clubs and orgs that folks are involved, what we really like to see is, and you're not just a member, but you take a leadership role in those. Those are when those things do stand out. Like say you're a president, vice president, or president of one of those committees, VP of a committee. Those things definitely stand out regardless of what organization it is. It's the fact that you're, taking on those responsibilities, and those responsibilities are hopefully really expanding your skills.
So maybe, Troy, you could see and reach out to them and see if they have maybe student leadership positions or some opportunities in that sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. There's another question here. I'm currently based in New York City, but I know Cintas operates across very different markets. From your West Coast experience or perspective and experience, how does the MT experience vary regionally? And how important is geographic flexibility in accelerating upwards?
So I would say when it comes to the flexibility, there are some divisions. Like I know maybe like my fire division in Denver is very like, if you're not open to flexibility and relocation, it's kind of a no. So there are some divisions that are a little bit more like, okay, you don't have to be. But across the groups, whether it's in the West Coast or in the East Coast, We do have some of the similar criteria for the program. So the program's going to be handled the same. You get the different rotations. It's only 15 months. Plus the program you go in sales. So a lot of the components of the program are going to be the same. Is the culture different? No. The culture we've like built a really strong culture across Cintas that we want it to be the same no matter what facility you are in. But I would say when it comes specifically to the geographic flexibility, I have had regions that are like, if they're not, open to it, it's a no. And others are more flexible. Hey, if you're open to at least the full state or, whatever it may be.
Perfect. All
A lot of
right.
great questions, and thank you so much. I love when our sessions can be interactive, when I get questions. This is perfect.
Yeah, these are fantastic. Anyone else have any questions? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay, no one raised their hand either. Don't want to miss anybody.
No. So I think those are all the questions we have. And I will be looking at anybody who filled out the QR code. I'll send you the email right now. But I appreciate not only this invitation to be able to join this info session and share more about Cintas and our opportunities, but thank you so much for staying through the whole session asking questions. So it was so nice to meet you all. If you filled that out, you'll be hearing from me, and feel free to connect with me. Let me put my LinkedIn QR code too, just because on LinkedIn I'm constantly posting about the opportunities, or you get to see a little bit more about our culture. So let me just quickly be able to get on LinkedIn and give you that QR code. And if I'm not able to get it quickly enough, I will be sharing it via the QR code, my LinkedIn. But I literally just had my LinkedIn. It's downloading. So 1 second. So I'm just going to put that on there. But Azra, did you have any final comments? Anything you wanted to share?
No, just wanted to say thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all of this fantastic information. I had been very familiar with Cintas, so I'm in Michigan, so with you guys being so close, but I still learn something new every day. So I really, really appreciate you sharing all of this fantastic information. So, and thank you everyone for attending. Guys joining us, and definitely don't forget to check out, there are some other fantastic sessions coming up for CareerQuest this week and next week as well. So, and with all of that, I'm gonna stop recording here.
Thank you so much, everyone.